we're going to continue to talk to our members about these issues. When you look at it, it wasn't the border bill itself. Frankly, it was issues that weren't even in the committee's jurisdiction. And so we're going to have to walk through all of this with our members, and when we're ready to move, we will.
Speaker John Boehner there, Miranda Kahn, J.D. Hayworth here. Welcome to Hour 2 of America's Forum. Miranda, in my days, we would call that trying to grow the vote. When you couldn't get everybody together, or at least get to 218, a majority, the whip team sits down and says, okay, here's what the bill, what concerns do you have? And so that is what is going on in the House Republican Conference on that proposed immigration legislation.
That's the technical term. I had no idea. And how daunting of it.
Grow the vote.
Grow the vote. I like that. It's catchy. Yeah, the Speaker admits that the Republican-led Congress has had more than one stumble on the issue. This, as opposition within the party itself forced a postponement of border security legislation.
Joining us now, Raffi Williams, the Deputy Press Secretary for Youth and Conservative Media at the Republican National Committee, and living proof that those two terms are not mutually exclusive. And Raffi, as you Skype in from Washington, you got a fashion statement, pal. You've got on your scarf. But you guys missed all that snow, didn't you?
We did, but it's still cold up here. Wind chill down to single digits, so
Well, okay, fair enough. The city of brotherly love, Philadelphia, opens its arms to everybody, including Democrats. They're having their retreat there later this week, but a leading voice of the left won't be there. Senator Elizabeth Warren will be absent. She says she has a scheduling conflict. So, Raffi, the Republican view of the Democrats, do you think Liz Warren is trying to gear up to challenge Hillary Clinton and run for president?
Well, I don't know if she's challenging Hillary Clinton. She said she isn't, but I wouldn't be surprised to see her throw her hat in the ring. What I do think, though, is this is a sign that Democrats are all rowing in different directions and the boat's not going the right way. Remember, the budget last year, Pelosi was whipping against it. Obama was whipping for it, putting them at a head. You see them on Iran when it comes to Menendez talking down to Obama. You see it when it comes to different issues across the board. That Democrats have no unified message here. They're in disarray, and they're scrambling to try to figure things out. They're against Obama when it comes to the trade deals. So you're seeing this caucus meeting right now happening, or about to happen. You're seeing Obama go up there to try to get his ducks in a row, but they're not going to line up behind him. They say that Obama going so liberal with his latest pushes is going to hurt Hillary in the 2016 election, and you got to think that's going to be in the minds of a lot of the members who are going to be talking with Obama and Biden coming up here.
Raffi, I want to get your thoughts about the recent Iowa summit. What did you think?
Well, I thought it was great to see a lot of people go up there and talk, to give their voice to Iowa voters and to give their voices nationally. We have a great crop of candidates coming up here, and I'm really excited as this primary season really starts to get rolling and as we hear more and more announcements about candidates throwing their hat in the ring, because our bench is so deep and so strong this time, the voters are really going to need to take their time to parse through all the information they're getting and pick the best one of the bunch.
And obviously there is no shortage of talent or ambition within the grand old party, or GOP, and we'll talk about that more after the break. But Raffi, as a recovering member of Congress, we're not going to let the GOP escape some scrutiny. There was supposed to be a vote on a border security bill this week. They pulled the vote. I said, oh, the speaker's trying to grow the vote. But philosophically, to have as a legislative goal full operational security on the border in 5 years, that's not what Americans want. Americans want the border secured now. Do you think the House and the Senate are going to get that message?
Well, I think they will, and I think that that's what's happening right now. Is they're having a discussion for how do we secure the border as fast as possible, as securely as possible, as financially prudent as possible, and really deliver the American people what they want. The American people have said time and time again that we want our border secure. We cannot allow it to be porous as it is now, and this is something that the House GOP is going to work together on to make sure that the American people get what they want.
Raffi, real quickly, there's word that the Obama administration has given up on those 2 years of free college program that he mentioned during the State of the Union address. We only have a few seconds remaining. What's the word on the street? Are they happy about this? Republicans happy?
Well, look, Democrats were pushing back against this as well because they realized how fiscally irresponsible it was, these 529 plans attacking the middle class. The Democrats' plans here, they depend on taxing the middle class. It's hurting the American worker, and it's stalling our economy. And that's why Republicans are continuing to push against it, and we will continue to do so.
Raffi Williams, the Deputy Press Secretary for Youth and Conservative Media. Youth must be served. Actually, that young man is serving us. When we come back, we're going to talk more in depth about the candidates who showed up in Iowa, some of them who didn't, and one in particular who made quite a splash with a speech, but on Twitter, well, let's just say he has some work to do, okay? Raffi Williams returns, and so do we. Hope you'll be back too as America's Forum continues here on Newsmax TV.
I don't think it's ever been good to bet against me, and certainly in the last 3 elections for governor in the past 4 years, I wouldn't be betting against me in a race like this either.
Ho, 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 ho. Governor Scott Walker, in a very humble way, telling, well, look, you got to believe in yourself, right?
Right. It's confident.
He was there with Sean Hannity on the Fox News channel, basically saying he's running for president.
Right, and he definitely wasn't wasting any time. Governor Walker has a new website that just went up yesterday, along with a new fundraising committee. So everyone's wondering, really, is there any doubt that he'll run?
Well, here to let the other shoe drop, because he can comment on it freely. There are not any laws that govern what he has to say. Although I know, as the Deputy Press Secretary for Youth and Conservative Media at the Republican National Committee, officially he plays no favorites. More on the story as we're rejoined to continue the conversation by Raffi Williams. So, you heard what Governor Walker had to say. If he chooses to run, has he moved from the dark horse category into a more favored position by virtue of his performance in Iowa?
Well, I think his performance in Iowa certainly helped him. Now, whether he's a dark horse or, preferred candidate, that's not for me to say. That's for the voters to decide. But I do think that we have a great crop of candidates that he's going to be a part of. And again, we're going back to the fact here, Republican-based, Republican primary voters have a great crop of candidates to select from this time around. We have a deep bench with a lot of talent from our governors to our senators, and I think you're going to see a lot of good conversation. You're going to see a lot more rebel-rousing speeches that'll really get us going.
How would you describe Governor Walker? Do you think he's too conservative?
I think Governor Walker is a man who says he's going to do something and follows through, and I think that's what the American people really want. After 6 or 7 years of Obama now, we're facing a lack of confidence, a lack of trust in our leadership, and what we need is somebody who's going to follow through on what they say, and Obama clearly has showed the roadmap for how not to do it.
Well, understandably, you wave the colors for Team GOP, and we appreciate that, Raffi. But as someone who works with youth and conservative media at the RNC, you know the importance of social media in building someone's image. So with that in mind, we pulled a few tweets from the Twitter account of Governor Scott Walker, and maybe you could help him with this. First, there was this one about his haircut. And Walker's a man of few words. Ugh. Or is that ugh? I guess the G.
Ugh, yeah.
And then there's relax. I don't know who that was aimed at. He also likes to let his hair down and dance, and occasionally points out the obvious. Oh, that was the cha-cha. I thought they'd polkaed in Wisconsin. So there is I have to just ask you this. He's a good guy, but is he a late bloomer to social media with some of these tweets maybe a little maladroit?
Well, I think that everybody gets their own style on Twitter. I mean, you have Chuck Grassley, right? He's the guy who's always tweeting for himself and out of his pocket and having fun with it. It just shows a different side of the candidates, and the way they use it depends from candidate to candidate. Some people like to keep strictly on messaging. Some people like it to show a little personal side that voters usually don't get to see because candidates are protected by their staffers. So it's just a different take for everybody, and I'm sure Governor Walker will find his groove.
Raffi, another name in the Republican camp getting thrown around for 2016, just newly elected Iowa Senator Joni Ernst. Will she become a key player?
Well, look, Iowa's obviously a big state. It's the first primary or caucus state in the nation. Joni Ernst is a huge rising star in the party, really a hard worker, and I think that people are really going to want to hear what she has to say and what her preference is when it comes to presidential candidates. So this roast and ride that she's going to be hosting later this year will be an exciting forum for a lot of the candidates to attend. It'll be a great place to really watch Joni Ernst take center stage and be the star we know she's going to be.
What did you think of her speech during the State of the Union coming out of it?
Well, I thought it was a strong speech, really gave her a national platform and showed the strength she has and her personal story of overcoming adversity to really be a voice for the American worker, for the American middle class, and for the issues that the Republican Party is really standing for and pushing these days in Congress. And I think that you're going to see more of her on a national platform, and you're going to see more of her taking shape in her own, and things like the roast and ride really help.
A minute left, some shop talk inside the RNC and political moves that go on. Apparently, there's been a shakeup. One of your top digital officials left to go take a gig that's tied to the Koch brothers. Did that surprise you, or how do you guys move forward at the RNC in the wake of this key departure?
Well, I think that what you saw was this is our second announcement, staffing announcement since the new year. The first was a chief of staff, and this one is a new chief technology officer, chief data officer, and really shows you the focus that we're putting on our digital and data this time around. We really built up and had great success in 14 with our digital efforts, and now in 16, the demands on us are going to be even greater.